We have our foundations program. That is an individual program. And what I mean by that is that you are working with mentors, but you're not working with other students. Like you are trying to learn the foundations on your own. The program right now gives you 16 weeks of unlimited mentorship. So from when you start, you have 16 weeks to finish. And we have a 16-week timeline and an 8-week timeline that you can choose. And it kind of tells you when your activity should be done for you to stay on that timeline. Then for Career Jumpstart program, that is a program that the first 2 weeks you work on your design skills. So we're teaching you advanced design skills. And then you're spending 2 months working on real world projects with other students. And that's where Robin and Steffi were saying that they got to work together in those projects. And then after those 2 months, you spend 6 months actually looking for work. And hopefully you find a job with it before the 6 months are up, but it can take anywhere from 2 weeks to 6 months. And if you all watch some of these other videos we have on YouTube, you'll see some people find jobs super quick. Others, it takes them a little bit longer. So that's the general timeline for foundations and CJ. Steffi, do you want to kick us off on how easy was it for you to stay on timeline? And you kind of already mentioned some of the stuff that was taking up your time, your kids and your full-time job. But yeah, tell us a little bit about timeline and what that looked like for you.
Yeah, in terms of foundations, I was doing a really, really good job of staying on track. And then I had 1 week where I fell behind a little with the reading. There are just a couple modules that there was a lot of information that was thrown at us, and I fell behind. And so I couldn't catch back up, but what Avocademy did with me was kind of adjust my timeline. So I just had a week extension and it all worked out just fine. So it's not hard to keep up with. I will say if you're working a full-time job and you have a family like me, it does get complicated at times. And, there were times when I was just so tired after my kids went to bed and I was like, I can't do anything right now. But Avocademy was so great to work with me, and I was so thankful because I was really stressed. I am totally the overachiever. I was like, I'm gonna make sure I get this done on time. I'm gonna try to work ahead of time, and my children had other plans for me, and so they are very flexible, and that was so helpful. And I know some other people that needed that flexibility, and they were very gracious to work with us too. The only drawback to that is that if you personally are on a timeline, then that does mess up with your personal timeline. But I wasn't on a super strict personal timeline, so I didn't have a major issue with that.
Oh, my turn. Well, I was a special case because it took me a long time to finish foundation. So don't be embarrassed if it takes you longer than the 8 weeks. I don't even remember how long it took. I just know that I should have been done way before I started CJ. And I was good for a couple of modules, the first couple of weeks, and then I got sick. I caught COVID, and it really knocked me out. And then I kept getting sick afterwards. So, but Avocademy, I think it was Alex that reached out to me to adjust my timeline. So the flexibility of Avocademy came into play there. And I think it was one last time she said, I can give you a little bit more time. And I just, and I pushed through and I finished. But I think it depends on your situation, where if you're working full time, it can be a little harder. So I would just suggest you pace yourself, and time blocking is your friend. I started doing that towards the end of foundations, and that helped me a lot of be able to prioritize when to focus on the modules and the assignments and getting them turned in. And I think that was around the time I was doing my portfolio. So that is my advice, but it is a little hard, but again, it depends on your personal situation.
Yeah. And I think, we learned a lot from and it's a good thing that this UX program is created by a UXer. So we do a lot of user research and we take our feedback and kind of adjust. So we kind of looked at kind of the stress of the 8 weeks and how how people were doing. And that's kind of why we're allowing this new 16-week timeline that's still gives you dates of when to do things by, but you can take a little bit longer if you need to. And on that note, you could also finish as fast as you want. So if you want to do this full time, you could probably finish in about 4 weeks if you're literally sitting at a desk 9 to 5 every single day and going through the